the one source, Sports Card Nation. The hobby is the people. Sports Card Nation.
What is up, everybody? Welcome to episode 377 of the Sports Card Nation podcast. Congrats not only to the women's ice hockey team of the United States, but the men's hockey team, both with wins over Canada in the gold medal game. Both games went to overtime and won in dramatic fashion. And I don't know about you, the Olympics comes around only every 4 years, summer and winter, and I'm always I think I like the winter ones better, to be honest with you. But I always try to watch as much as I can, and I definitely watched a lot of hockey, curling, some of the acrobatic skiing stuff, the luge, ice skating. Just a great event that, because we only get it every 4 years, sort of like the World Cup in soccer too, right? We look forward to it because it's not an every year thing. If it was an every year thing, the bloom would come off the rose. So watched a lot of, I also had the week off from school. So I was on automatic vacation. So, took a lot of Olympics and some great performances. Alyssa Liu, and obviously the two hockey teams. Just a lot of pride comes out when your country does well in the Olympics, and the U.S. represented themselves very well. So wanted to just kind of start off with that. Today we got speaking of great performances, we have a great guest on, a friend of mine, first time on the show though, Tim Wermeling, and he's recently not got into the hobby, but gone full time with the hobby, buying and selling cards. He's been a collector a while, but making the plunge into the full-time status. So we're going to tackle some tips, tricks, his approach, why he did it, all that fun stuff. And whenever someone goes full-time in a hobby, even though I'm not, maybe I could be, but I used to be years ago, but I always loved the dynamics involved and kind of picking the brain of those people. So when I saw Tim had done that, a little bit ago, I'm like, I have to have him on. We gotta talk about this. So that's on store for this episode. So don't go away. All right, happy to have the next gentleman on the Sports Card Nation guest line. I consider him a friend. I know I didn't do good this year in his football points pool, but previous year I finished in the money. I flamed out this year, but he's someone who's just went full time in the hobby. So we're gonna tackle that and talk about that as well. But Tim Wermeling, welcome to Sports Card Nation.
Thanks, John. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, before we get into going full time and what all that entails, where, for you, when did the hobby start? I know a lot of our stories are similar, but they're also individual as well.
Absolutely. I started back when I was a kid, opening basketball cards, baseball cards, football, seeing those cards, those funky football cards with players in a Steelers jersey, but it's got like a Miami Dolphins logo on there. It says a different team on the back. So I started then, and I did a bunch of Pokemon when I was a kid. I remember trading a holographic Blastoise for a bunch of magic cards, and my mom was mad at me. So collected when I was a kid, probably up until 2000s or so, and then got out of it. I got heavily into sports and then took a big gap until COVID, and then just ramped up since 2019, 2020. John, you're muted.
Yep, there we go. You mentioned Pokemon. Is that something you mentioned doing it as a kid? that genre of the hobbies really exploded even in the last couple years. Is that something you forayed back into, or not necessarily?
Yeah, I did, especially during early COVID. I was going to I would have family members contact me about their friends that had stuff for sale, so I would run out by them and buy cards off them. So yeah, I've been buying Pokemon since COVID too. Done pretty well. Graded bunch of it, and yeah.
What do you think it's a weird question, but like, you know, when you got your sports card side of Pokemon, like I'm a sports guy, so I don't know anything about Pokemon. So if you see me at a show, you know, I have people submit through my bulk submission service Pokemon, but I myself don't have a clue about it. Was it easier, like coming back, like you said, in around 2020? Was it easier to get up to speed with Pokemon or sports cards are about the same? How would you answer that?
Pokemon was probably a little bit easier starting off with, just because I knew the sets I grew up with and I knew they were highly collectible. Sports wasn't too bad, but I'd say Pokemon was a little bit easier.
Yeah, and I will tell you this, as someone who does the SGC bulk grading, Tim, I get more Pokemon stuff coming back as counterfeits from submissions than the sports card. Now it happens in both genres, but percentage wise, it's a higher percentage on the Pokemon side. Is it? Why do you think that is? And is it something like, can you tell when you're buying or you know, picking up Pokemon? Is it easy to spot for you? And why do we see so many, you know, counterfeits on the Pokemon?
So I don't buy a ton of raw anymore. I did early on during COVID, but then I just weaned into buying just graded stuff already. That way I don't have to run into the counterfeits for the most part. I don't run into that. As for the, you know, why we're getting so many counterfeits, I'd say it's probably a little bit easier making a counterfeit Pokemon card than a counterfeit sports card. They're all, I mean, besides the holographic, you know, paper Pokemon card, the paper Pokemon card.
Yeah.
The hollow, you'll notice a difference with that. Usually, there's a specific hollow to the original hollows. Now we have these full arts where the print is all across the card, and there's usually texture to it. So a lot of the fakes don't have the texture.
Yeah. Are you like, I know you said you buy more like already graded Pokemon, but if someone was to like come over and say, "Hey, I got some raw Pokemon, I'm just trying to get out." Like, are you feel pretty confident you could weed through it and like sort of avoid those counterfeits? Is it that?
Yeah, for the most part, especially like I said, the tint, the holographic, those are pretty easy to see. Usually, the font's a little bit different.
Yeah.
That's another big distinguisher. Quality of the card and maybe thinner. Those are usually the big differences I see with that. Thankfully, don't run across it too often, so haven't got scammed on that yet.
Yeah, it's crazy. You know, even people ask me, like, even subbing, like, what do you think? And I'm like, I can give you my opinion, right? But until it's graded, that's really where the official verdict comes in. We, you know, with sports cards, especially on the vintage side, we got the light test, the pixelation, but there's sometimes I've told people like this is like 99% fake, and I've had people say, well, you know what, for the $18, I'm just gonna send it anyway and let just to be sure. And I'm like, that's up to you. It's your $18. You know what I mean? And most of the time in those cases, you know, comes back kind of like I thought. So unfortunate, you know, I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but that's, you know, that's what does happen. You know, I know you've gone full time. Well, again, we're gonna deep dive into that a little bit more. But on the PC side of things, is there things you don't sell, and if so, like what moves your meter there, and what do you tend to keep?
Yeah, so obviously I'm a big Kyler Murray collector. I have four Apache cases full of them.
Yeah.
I have a 4-row box of like top loaded stuff full of them. So like that stuff I just hold on to. It started off as an investment piece, and then I just couldn't get rid of it. Other things I collect are on-card autographs of football MVPs. Don't have me a Tom Brady autograph yet. Football MVPs, single seasons record holders for stats. So like Chris Johnson, LaDainian Tomlinson, Randy Moss, Jerry Rice.
All terrible players.
Okay. Yeah, not a bad hold, right? So like those, I have like one of each player. That was my goal when I started that.
Yeah.
No Mahomes out all yet. So Brady and Mahomes are up there on the to get eventually.
Well, with Mahomes, you got time. I mean, he's got some years. And listen, Brady is still active as far as between broadcasting and commercials, and now he's involved in cards. So there'll be more signatures. Maybe not a ton, but there'll be more. And again, he's young. He's 5 years old. So, he'll be signing more things. And when with these MVP autos, is it a certain card you're looking for, or are you just trying to get one of each?
No, I just want an on-card autograph. I don't really want a Leaf product. Ideally, a licensed product.
Yeah.
Licensed on-card autograph is the goal. I did just get rid of a Roethlisberger auto as a Steelers fan, but it was a sticker, so I'm like, I'll upgrade that to an on-card auto.
Yeah, and I'm a huge Steeler fan, and we'll see. Listen, when you mentioned, having 4 patchifications of. He's been rumored like that the Steelers potentially could acquire him in a trade potentially. Okay, what are your thoughts as a Steelers fan and a Kyler Murray collector? Would that be something you'd like to see? You don't really care either way.
I mean, that'd be cool. I want Kyler out of Arizona, honestly. I think it'd be fun in Pittsburgh, but I kind of want to see him more in a dome or southern environment. I don't know how he would fare in the cold weather, for that portion of the year.
Yeah, it's funny. We look what we just watched in the Super Bowl, right, with Sam Darnold on its 5th team to win. Sometimes a change of scenery can make all the difference. So he's not an old guy, still fairly young. So,
28.
Yeah, so maybe a change of scenery, a new team, wherever that might be, is just what the doctor order for him. So, I know a lot of people might be a little down on him. I think it's too early to go. Look how many people discarded Sam Darnold, especially the Jets years, and kind of just rid him off and said he was a bust. And here we just watched him hoist the Lombardi and having an incredible, and not just, it wasn't like he just got hot in the playoffs. Like he was good all year. So, and last year, even with Minnesota, he had a great year. They just chose not to sign him. And thought J.J. McCarthy was probably going to be better than he actually turned out to be. They might even have some, regret there that maybe they made the wrong call there, but Seattle sort of benefited from that. So, when quarterbacks are still too young, I think, it's a wait and see. Even Tua, I know he's a little bit older, but it's not working out in Miami, but maybe a new location is, again, just kind of what's needed for quarterbacks to resurrect a career. We've seen it before. We just witnessed it here in the Super Bowl. So too soon to sort of bury someone, so to speak, if you will. And you said on-card auto, so you're not like these MVP. You don't want any sticker autos. That's a pretty.
No, I have a not necessarily gripe with stickers, but I like the player actually holding on the card and signing it.
Yeah, I get it. They don't bother me as much as they do other people, but I get what you said. I fully 100%. I get it. I don't necessarily have like a PC where I auto collection, but obviously you give me a choice between an on-card auto and a sticker auto. That's a layup, right?
Yeah.
You always would pick the on-card auto. But, one of my things I always say on this show is you don't have to like sticker autos, but in many cases without them, you probably wouldn't get certain players potentially signing these cards. So it's sort of you got to live with that, so to speak. And in some cases, I get, give me a choice of the two, on-card auto, 8 days a week. But sometimes, the sticker auto is sort of the sacrifice we make for just having that player available in a product for to potentially pull an auto out. So
time to hear from one of our great sponsors, but Sports Card Nation will be right back after that.
Iron Sports Cards is your #1 source for all your PSA and other grading submissions. Their elite status improves turnaround times. Heck, they even provide the card savers. Their chat rooms provide updates on all your submissions. They also offer wax options and single cards to cover all the bases. Check them out on Facebook at Iron Sports Cards Group or on the web at ironsportscards.com, or even give them a call at 1-877-IRON-PSA. Rob's got you covered.
Let's go! You are listening to the Sports Card Nation podcast.
You're a competitive power lifter as well. For you, when did you know that was something that you wanted to do?
So I started playing football when I was 12, and my family is not tall. So I'm like, well, I can only get bigger, stronger, and faster. So I started lifting weights then. And I've always, in high school, college, always the strongest kid out there, even stronger than a lineman and everything at 200 pounds. And then I got done playing football in college in 2012. And then I took a 2 or 3 year gap of not competing in anything. And it was January 2015 was my first powerlifting meet. And so I've been doing that competitively for the past 11 years now. And been to a bunch of nationals, did IPL Worlds a couple years ago. Yeah, it's been a journey. It's not easy.
No, and I've seen some of your videos on your social media. God bless you. I can lift a little bit, but not anywhere along those lines. Plus, I'm way too old anyway. I played football as well in high school. Then I went on the coaching varsity football, and it's a big part, as you well know, Tim. It's a big part of football. We always like to have our kids in the weight room as much as we could, and make that part of our sort of regular routine as much, and then encourage kids even in the off season, like stick with it if you can. And we always, at the high school I was at, always sort of made the weight room available even in the off season. So
it's actually how I met one of your buddies, Steve, that runs Slab Museum, maybe.
Yep, Steve Sousa.
Yeah, he I had your Hobby Quick Hit shirt on in the gym, and he goes, "You collect cards?" I'm like, "I do." He goes, John? I do.
Small world.
That's awesome.
When you told me that story, I thought that was insane. Like, what are the odds, right? So how much of that, like how much time a week do you devote to like lifting and training and all that stuff?
The lifting aspect, 3 or 4 days a week for about a couple hours.
Yeah.
So it's not terrible.
Yeah. How much traveling do you do? Like, how far do you go with competing?
Depends. So I'm from Wisconsin, and the meet director that runs USPA in Wisconsin, I like going up and doing his meets for the fact of how he runs them and the people that he has helping him. So that's 6-7 hours away to go to usually his meets. But I mean, I've been to Vegas, did one here in St. Louis when I lived in Wisconsin, been to Florida for a meet. If I gotta fly, I gotta fly. But if I'm flying, I'll only do that every 2 or 3 years, that for that far away.
Yeah. And I know this is not the reason you do it. I'm sort of intrigued by this. Obviously, there is travel, there is expenses. If you're successful and you win and play, I don't know how that. Can it be profitable or not necessarily?
So the money's coming in from the best of the best.
Yeah,
that's not me. I'm pretty good, but they had an event called the Sheffield at the end of January, beginning of February, and that's where the big prize money's at. There's a kid that was like two weight classes below me. He totaled over almost 300 pounds more than I do, and he won the Sheffield, and just a freak of an athlete. But I did win money one time. I did, regionals? I did regionals one year, and I won the best deadlifter award at that competition, won $500. So not a lot of money.
So for you, it's more like it's a passion. You love it. You love to do it. How long do you think, we've seen guys like dudes, again, you're more the expert in this category than me, but I've seen like posts where guys are doing this into their, their older age. Do you have have you ever thought about I'm going to do it till this point, or is it just when your body tells you all right, Tim, that's we're good.
My body's telling me right now to stop, but I'll probably never quit fully. I'll still
Yeah.
compete to some extent. It's something I can't give up. That competitive nature in me, I'm always grinding. I think that's one reason why the hobby is doing what I'm doing now is nice. But no, I'll do it till I'm dead probably.
Yeah. Do they have do they have classes by age, so you're competing against, you're not 40 something competing against someone in their 20s?
Yeah, so after I'm in the submasters right now, so submasters 35 to 39. Then after that, it's basically every decade after that.
Yeah.
For some Masters 8, was it Masters 1, Masters 2, Masters 3, so forth. Age and weight class, yeah.
All right, so you're a Steeler fan. I'm a Steeler fan, but I'm from New York City, and for that, I get asked that. How does a kid from New York City become a Steeler fan? For me, I'm older than you. It was that whole Mean Joe Green's my dude, and that Coke commercial. And I was a kid. I didn't like the Giants or Jets, and I'm making the story shorter because I talked about it on the show on numerous occasions. And I didn't like the Jets or Giants, and I just said the kid in the Mean Joe Green Coke commercial was the same age as me at the same time. We had a resemblance to each other. I just gravitated towards that. I'm not gonna lie, they were winning at that time, and I'm 5-6 years old. I jumped aboard, and I've never looked back. And even in the 80s when we were losing a lot, I never jumped ship again. You mentioned you're from Wisconsin. Why not the Packers, right? How did the Steelers fall into place?
So I grew up Packer fan. When Packers lost the Super Bowl to the Broncos, I bawled my eyes out because I'm like, no, Packers can't lose. I was 7 or 8, something like that. Then I was going through high school, and it would have been Roethlisberger's rookie year.
Yeah.
I played linebacker. I saw how aggressive their defense was, fell in love with it, and I've been a fan ever since. Was that 2004, 2005, whatever it was? So just never looked back.
I got you. And listen, you're not in Wisconsin, like you said. So you're in the St. Louis, right?
Yep.
So yeah, the St. Louis doesn't really even they don't have football right now.
Nope.
I'll let you go. Not that I could stop you anyway, but I always get it. I always love those kind of stories. Like, how does that happen? You know what I mean? When you're from one area, but you have another team you root for, and that's always. I always find that interesting. How that all, whether it's a player, an incident, whatever the case may be. So
I had a Paul Mount big poster on my wall. 4 foot by 6 foot poster. I had him, Urlacher, and Ray Lewis.
Yeah, you ain't gonna find any Ray Lewis stuff.
You see, I was a linebacker, so that was
you're the deep. I get it. I get it. And I was in high school. I was a DN on the defensive side of the ball. So, but I get it. Ray Lewis to a Steeler fan. You get it. You know what I mean? I just can't do it. But I won't tell you he's not great. Lying if you didn't respect the greatness of Ray Lewis. So you're full time. I always love to hear kind of the stories behind the stories. Like, how long's it been? What pushed you? Like, what made you jump into going full time?
Where do I want to start? So when COVID hit, I was ripping. Man, what was the set I started with? I ripped a lot of 2020 Prism draft pick football.
Yeah,
or the bunch of that. Should have just flipped the boxes at the time, but started ripping that stuff, and then collecting stuff, selling stuff here and there. You had the Joe Burrow stuff, 2020, doing ridiculous money. Selling base cards for $20-$30. And I just enjoyed the whole process with that. And then once fast forward a couple of years, we moved from Kirksville to St. Louis, and then wife wanted me to try to stay home if I could with a job. And then I'm like, I'm gonna try to jump in with both feet here and see how I do. And so I did that in June, and then ever since June, I just ramped everything up, buying what I could, selling as quick as I could. Don't like holding stuff, especially the market nowadays. Things change so quickly. You don't want to get stuck holding the bag. I see it happen all the time. I have a Herbert red short print prism here, and I've probably had that a little too long now, but
he's one of those guys, Tim. I don't know if you agree with this. Like I think he gets a bad rap. I think he's an excellent quarterback. He just needs a little more around him, and his line didn't help him out this year. And if you're a football guy, and I know you are and I am, I'm not necessarily a Chargers fan, but I watch enough football, and he's just running for his life. And that dude's out there with his hand bandaged up playing like he's a warrior. So I think they fixed some of their line issues. I know Keenan Allen came back. He's probably almost done. I think they got to get a little, I know they got Quentin Johnson. They got one of our guys here from Syracuse, or Randy Gatson as a tight end. Yeah. I think they need another receiver or two. I think they got a great back in Amari Hampton. They're just a few pieces away, and he's still, he got MVP votes this year. Even
Not sure how, but
yeah, he's legit, and I don't. It's I think he's, when all is said and done, barring an injury or something like that, he's probably going to have a Hall of Fame type. Whether he wins a ring or not remains to be seen. But I think he's got one of the best coaches in football there that just came over recently. So give a little time. I think they'll write that thing, and he'll be back in the forefront of MVP conversations, especially in the quarterback class. So I'm not necessarily a Chargers guy, but I actually like Justin Herbert. I'll take him in Pittsburgh if Chargers don't want him anymore. But I get. Is it when you decided to do? Did you have it?
Breaking up a little bit.
Oh, there we go.
Getting there now. There we go.
Oh, yeah. So when you decided to kind of take this plunge, did you have to really acquire more inventory, or did you have enough sort of built up to jump right in?
No, I had to build inventory up. Like I said, I don't like holding on to stuff, so I was just buying what I could and using funds we had sitting around. And then I do a lot on Twitter, a lot on eBay. Probably more on Twitter if I got or X, whatever you want to call it. And that's where the majority of my sales are. Yeah.
When you buy, how do you acquire? Is it always in person or not all the time?
No, actually, I'd say probably majority is buying off X. Probably 60-70% off of people online, and other 30-40% on at shows.
Yep. And I know most of what you're buying is already like graded. They're already in slabs, so there's no guesswork per se.
Yeah. And one of the reasons for that is there's a little more consistent data. I don't got to worry about quality of a raw card. And I can type the cert into card ladder and it pops everything up easily.
Yeah. Well, this, and I'm a dealer, as like you probably know, right? Raw cards, buying a raw card is can be risky, right? You can, especially if it's not in person, even more risky. People can show you a picture of one thing and maybe send a different version of it, where a graded card obviously has a cert number. It should match when you get it, as well as the grade. Can there be fake slabs? Sure, but less of that than fake raw cards. I think that's a safe assumption. And again, even for me buying at shows, right, to buy raw cards, which I do. I don't want to say I don't do that, but it's even more time consuming because before I buy it, I want to take a better look at it, and that sort of thing. So it takes a little more time. And then chances are if it passes that eye test, you're going to want to grade it anyway yourself, where if you buy it sort of graded already, it's already sort of baked in there, if you will.
Yep.
All right. That concludes part 1 of my conversation with Tim. Great guy, smart guy, strong guy, now full-time in the hobby. And I hope you come back next week for part 2 of our great conversation. We're going to have some closing thoughts, our Hobby is the People announcer of the week, and wrap up this week's episode.
Time for our Hobby is the People announcer of the week.
This is Zach Byrne, one of many hobbyists who returned during COVID. Thanks to John for steering me in the right direction. And remember, the hobby is the people.
If you'd like to be the Hobby is the People announcer of the week, do a WAV or MP3 file and send it to sportscardnationpc@gmail.com.